Okay, do you have your machine on? Okay. He did his racing on machines that were not very technologically perfected, and yet he got the most out of them and most horsepower and handling.
In the early days, it was not socially acceptable. We were still considered a daredevil, and someday when I grow up, I want to be just like Ed Fisher.
It was almost like a conductor of an orchestra. You made him do magic.
You walk in a restaurant with Ed Fisher, your stock just went up.
I always thought I wanted to be just like Eddie Fisher.
When I took over this little gas station in Parksburg, several years I worked from 8 in the morning till 10 at night, 7 days a week. But when Rod Coates came and asked me if I wanted to ride a new factory Triumph at Daytona in '52, that was the beginning of the end of the gas station.
Did you have a nickname during your race days?
Fast Eddie.
This is one of the most amazing things. You know, when Ed puts a helmet on, he has his leathers on, and he's at a racetrack, and you're watching on a racetrack, or if you're just road riding with him, it has to be the strangest thing for some people to see him take his helmet off. And there's this guy that's, you know, he's no young guy. And it's just like, that can't be that same guy that I just watched out here.
I got a 1965 Trophy 500. This is my 1961 Triumph Cub. It runs well over 100 mile an hour down the straightaways. 1929 Indian 101 Scout. 1961 T100 race bike. This is the Honda VTR. Turns 14,000 RPMs.
And you're thinking about racing it next year, right?
Yes, hopefully. I was working on a farm when I turned 16 and decided I needed a motorcycle. I was able to save $95 to pay for my first Indian motorcycle I bought in 1941. I couldn't imagine myself when I was 16 and got my first motorcycle that I'd ever be able to compete and ride with the pro motorcycle riders, because I thought they were different batch of people, a different level and different everything. But my first expert race on a half-mile track, I beat the #1 racer, Paul Goldsmith. It was a factory Harley rider and was paid to come to Richmond to make sure they had a winner, but I won. I rode harder, that's why I was able, or did win a few races over guys that had better bikes, better equipment, even factory race bikes.
I guess everybody goes back to Laconia in 1953 when he won the race, and it was a huge deal. I mean, this was a big deal back then. Ed was a contender in every single race, in every discipline, be it road racing, be it dirt track, whatever it was.
Because how small he was, he just realized how competitive he could be on a motorcycle. You know, he was like a jockey.
When I started racing, I didn't start racing because you could make a bunch of money racing. It's another way of having fun riding a motorcycle. If you made any money, you thought that was just something extra. In 1952, when I had my first ride on a Triumph race bike, they definitely stole my heart that I thought was the best bike that I could ever get on. Oh! Switch isn't on!
Oh, switch is on.
You know you're not a racer anymore but you enjoy doing what you did when you were racing. My wife always come up with that, once a racer, always a racer. Every time you get behind the handlebars or wheel, you don't play your racing all the time.
The world went by on a different plane. We all lived in the very same place.
What would you say to somebody that says Ed's too old to do those things?
They might be right. But I'm going to keep doing it as long as I can.
Just like today. Just like today. Hang the lines in the trees up out there now.
I can't imagine my life without having a motorcycle to ride, and then to race, and then to travel. Florida, rode to California, rode the Gold Wing to Alaska in '85. When you pass a dairy farm, it has its own familiar odor, smells, flowers, and all kinds of stuff that I enjoy that. And that is one thing that I like when I ride bike. You see and smell and take in a lot of things you don't when you're driving a car or truck or whatever. You just go through it and don't even pay attention.
How does it feel? What's it like riding that bike?
It feels too little. It must have shrunk up on me. People usually accuse me of trying to go faster than what they were capable of riding, but anyway, if I went for a ride and they went along, I sort of rode the way I enjoyed riding, and a lot of guys complained about you couldn't go that fast.
He's friends with all the greatest names in racing everywhere in the country, and every one of them respects Eddie Fisher. Nothing was given to him. He earned everything he ever got in life. You know, folks are a little different in this era, but there's still some Ed Fishers out there coming up.
I know I don't have another 10 or 15 years to ride yet, but I might say as long as I live, I hope I can ride. Some of the old timers still call me Fast Eddie. That's how we do it in Chunk.